Welcome to my first episode of my ACL healing journey. My name is Ingang Mislin and I'm an online fitness coach for women. This episode is all about from injury to surgery. So I'm going to be sharing what my decision was of what kind of surgery to do, if I should do surgery, where I should do surgery, and all of that. So I'm going to start from the beginning. I got injured on the 22nd of June playing rugby. It was my third game. I was feeling really good, but I did go into the game feeling kind of tight in my hamstrings. It was also a very hot day. I probably did not hydrate well enough. I didn't eat a lot of food. But so anyway, the third game, I was about to tackle this girl and I heard this loud pop in my left knee. I immediately held it close to me, went down, and a lot of pain, but also a lot of fear. I have never injured my knee before, but I've heard lots about it, and so that idea that I just did something to my knee was very scary to me. Then my coach came over, and the trainer came over, tried to calm me down, started moving my knee, and I pretty much felt alright. So after a while we got back up. I was able to walk, felt a little bit unstable, but started then jogging around and thinking that I could go back in the game. My coach said don't go back into the game, thankfully, because as the day progressed the pain got worse. It started really swelling towards the night. I was of course out with my teammates, and it was pretty rough. Pretty much right after I got injured, I started recovering, and that meant not just elevate, ice, and be careful with walking, but also mentally. I knew that I was not 100% sure that something bad was happening. Like I kind of thought that I just tweaked it, but I was prepared that it was something worse. So I made sure to not drink alcohol. I made sure to hydrate properly. I made sure to reduce my stress because an injury is very stressful. So I was icing it off and on, drinking plenty of water, eating a lot of protein because the body needs protein. And so when I came home the next day, I started doing some really light exercise. I did some research on ACLs, what people do, what the limitations are, and I also collaborated with some of the ATG coaches that I live literally like 2 minutes walk from the gym from, and they gave me some great advice in addition to what I already knew. And so I was doing a few exercises to get back my range of motion, because that's the most important thing, is to get back your extension. So if this is your knee joint, like a lot of people kind of get stuck here, and the first thing you want to work on is to get that extension back. So I was working on that. One of the coaches, Zach, gave me some great exercises, flossing and really working on that extension and flexion with the floss, and I pretty much saw some improvement right away. So I got an MRI, and sadly the report came back as a full grade 3 ACL tear, and also some tears in my meniscuses and some bruising in my bones, which is pretty normal for an ACL injury. Most often when you do injure your ACL, you also injure your meniscus because that stability is not there anymore, especially if you're walking around, because basically you can walk around on an ACL injury. A lot of people don't even get ACL surgery, they live without an ACL, but for me that was kind of like where I really had to do some thinking of what I was going to do. So I had options of not doing surgery, doing surgery, and the third idea was to get some stem cells. I know somebody who has healed 100% through stem cells, also had a full ACL tear, MCL tear, hamstring tear, and I believe LCL, I'm not exactly sure, but completely healed through just doing stem cells. But stem cells is still very new. It was hard to find a place that offers that, and also you have to pay it on your own. It's very expensive. So pretty soon after doing some research, I kind of started giving up that idea. So I know a few people, even some of my teammates in my rugby team, that do not have an ACL, and they're playing rugby really well. But for me, after week 2, so I was doing these exercises like every week consistently, definitely getting better, getting more range of motion. The swelling started going down. I still couldn't walk properly, but around week 2 or 3, I started feeling a little bit more pain in my knee, and it's possible that that's because I was injuring my meniscuses more. I'm not 100% sure, but I really wanted to get an idea and an opinion of a surgeon. I wanted to look at all my options and then think of like, okay, which option is best for me right now, but also what I want to do in the future. And I, of course, want to continue playing rugby. You can basically run and lift without an ACL, but juking and doing any lateral movements without an ACL is definitely hard. I decided to look into options of surgery. I consulted my dad, who is great in research, and I am very thankful that I did that, because we came up with a specific procedure that is called the BEAR procedure, which stands for Bridge Enhancement ACL Reconstruction. I had to think of that in a second. Before that, I knew that there was a cadaver graft, there was quad graft, patella graft, and hamstring graft. I asked a bunch of people that have had ACL injuries, and they all recommended different things. I definitely think that the quad and patella graft were the most common ones. A lot of people said the hamstring graft is not a good one. I also looked into a lot of YouTube videos. I listened to a lot of podcasts about ACL injuries. I looked up on Instagram. There's this one girl she's a professional rugby player, and she had 2 ACL surgeries, pretty terrible, and she talked about her journey, so I listened to her. So I grabbed a lot of information from different people, and I definitely came to the conclusion that hamstring is not a graft that I want to do, if it is a graft. The cadaver graft was taken out pretty soon after that too, just because I am very young. The cadaver graft is great, but it seems like there's not a lot of longevity in that. So it was between the patella graft and the quad graft, and now the BEAR procedure. So the BEAR procedure, basically what it is they fix your own ACL by pulling it together, suturing it together, and wrapping around with a piece of cow collagen that then it's infused with your own blood, so basically your own stem cells, and that piece of collagen is gonna fuse your ACL back together. So that sounded very enticing, because for various reasons they don't have to take any other body parts from my body. There's no screwing in the bones, and they don't have to take away your own ACL, which I have read that in itself can cause some issues and pain and laxity. So that sounded very promising. The one thing is that not everybody is a candidate for the BEAR procedure, because if your ACL is too broken, too far apart, there's not enough to sew back together, then it's kind of doesn't even make sense. And 2, you have a 50-day window. So now we're about 3 weeks in, which is like 21 days. So I didn't have a lot of time left. So I had to make a decision, and I was going back and forth, like, should I do stem cells? Should I not get surgery? All of that. I'm like, you know what? Like, let me just get an appointment with a surgeon and get an idea. So I went to New York. I was lucky to be able to book a surgery day with Dr. Lauren Redler that we've looked up. She has done the bear procedure. She has done the bear procedure on a volleyball player who has had multiple surgeries, and they have all failed. And she said that the bear procedure has been amazing. Like, she's back playing volleyball 100%, super happy. So I went to see her sometime in July, and she gave me the sad news that based on my MRI, I am not a candidate for the bear procedure. I really had to hold back my tears, and I'm just kind of feeling these tears now, because that meant that I had to either get the quad graft or the patella graft. And she was explaining those two grafts. She was going for the patella graft. She was mentioning that the patella graft is more recommended to contact athletes, since rugby is a contact sport. I'm a contact athlete, and the reason is because it is just a lot stronger, because they're using bone, tendon, and the bone. So I actually looked up that surgery. I passed out because it was just so gruesome. It was not even a real surgery. It was just like a what's it called, like a animation. But yeah, I passed out because I was just like imagining this happening to my leg. So she explained the reason why I'm not a candidate for the bear procedure based on the MRI is because my ACL was too stringy. It was kind of like string cheese, so there's nothing to hold on to. Versus if you have, it's a far apart, but you have these two clean stumps, it's easier to sew that back together. It's kind of like sometimes you have in clothes, you have that kind of material that you just can't, like jeans. It's very hard to sew that back together, right? Like, you're going to try to sew it back together, but then it starts continue ripping somewhere else. So that's basically what my ACL is. Like, it's just not going to hold. She was going to recommend to patella graft. The good news was that when she tested my ACL, or like my leg, she was very happy to see how much range of motion I had. And she said, well, you clearly did your prehab work. And I said yes. So I definitely give credit to those exercises that I was doing and everything else. She really believed in me, which was really nice to see, because of course she's the one that is doing the surgery. But she said, you're gonna make my surgery easy, because she just trusted that I did the right thing. Like, I did the work before coming to surgery, and I was gonna do the work after surgery and in preparation to surgery. So I went home, discussed it with my dad and with my boyfriend, and just signed up to get this surgery on the next Monday. I just signed up for a spot, because the reason is because amongst all that, I was supposed to go home to Sardinia. I was supposed to go watch my boyfriend's rugby tournaments, nationals. So there was a lot of things that I had planned that I had to completely shift around. As a lot of things to decide. So if I was going to do the bear procedure, I had to do that within those 50 days window, which was going to run up till the 11th of August, which meant for me that going to Sardinia was not going to really make sense. Since Dr. Redler mentioned that I am not a candidate for the bear procedure, now the time frame was pretty much open. There's not really any urgency except my meniscus. She did mention that every week that you don't do surgery, there's a 2% chance of your meniscus getting worse. So there's a little bit of urgency, but it's not like you have to do it right now like the bear procedure. So I was considering maybe doing the surgery later in August, so I could go home to Sardinia and I could go watch Mike's rugby games without dealing with surgery. But I signed up for that day, the 22nd of July, and on Sunday it was time to confirm that. and I ended confirming. So that weekend before, I flew to Philadelphia to watch Mike play rugby. He performed really well. They won. And then he flew back with me to New York to prepare for surgery. I went in on Monday really, really nervous. My heart rate was like through the roof. The nurse came in, sat me down, told me to undress, put the robe on. They took some blood. They explained the situation. Dr. Redler came in and she was like, okay, are you ready? Like, gonna do the patella graft? She said she would go in with a camera to check again if she could do the Bear procedure, but again, she really highly likely thinks that it's not possible. Gave one last kiss to Mike as I was really nervous, and laid on a table in the surgery room. They all were staring at me. It was very uncomfortable. Laid down. They said, oh, let's put some oxygen on, and I was out. Do not remember anything. I woke up in pain, confused, fearful, Mike recorded. It's actually I'm gonna put it right up here. I looked not happy. I think I was a little scared, didn't know, maybe confused. I was on a lot of painkillers. I had a nerve blocker to help with the pain and recovery. So I woke up and I was really tucked in because I guess I was really cold. I was shivering. And I had this cute little bear tucked in next to me. And I, of course, couldn't see what was written on it. And the nurse came by and said, everything went well. How are you feeling? The Bear procedure went well. And I was like, wait, what? Both me and Mike were like, what? I was like, yeah, you sound surprised. And I'm like, well, yeah, I was not a candidate for the Bear procedure. And she was like, well, you got the Bear procedure. This is what this bear is. It literally says bear implant. I started crying. I was so relieved and happy that I got the Bear procedure. You cannot even imagine how relieved I was. So I was happy. All the pain was gone. And then the physical therapist came by and said, since you have some stairs at home, let's get you up and walking. I got up, was definitely a little dizzy, lightheaded, but was able to walk up the stairs, down the stairs. She was very pleased. Mike made the joke, isn't it great to work with an athlete? And she's like, yeah, trust me, rolled her eyes. So I was proud of that. But yeah, I was doing really well. So then they sent me home. I actually, this is a funny part. My friend Nia came by. Thank you, Nia, for coming. They rolled myself out on the wheelchair, hospital wheelchairs. Nobody was looking. You're not supposed to do that. But I'm like, oh, let's just go get some coffee and food around. So we did that. They brought me around the corner, maybe 2 blocks up on this wheelchair, hospital wheelchair. And we sat down, got some coffee, and she brought the wheelchair back. And we just sat there. I had this big brace on me, but I was not feeling a lot of pain. And then we walked back, took the subway, and had dinner together, had some laughs, and then I went to bed. And then day 1 post-op started. But I'm gonna be sharing that in the next episode. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out personally or comment. I will try to launch an episode once a week, if not every 2 weeks. But I'm gonna be sharing week by week, tips and tricks, how it felt, how my recovery has been going on, what I have been doing to help with recovery, and so forth. So thank you for watching again, and please, if you have an ACL injury, you want to know more, hit the subscribe button and like this video. Thank you so much. Have a great day.